I'm currently 30 hours into Final Fantasy XVI, and holy the game has some really incredible highs and some really bad lows. Yes, it deviates even further from the traditional Final Fantasy gameplay experience. The RPG elements are very shallow, basic, and Final Fantasy purists might not be too happy about that, but it offers one of the most epic, thrilling action gameplay with tons of opportunities to get expressive with Clive's many icon abilities. The game is not perfect and has its flaws, which I will address, but there's plenty of fun to be had here. Here's my thoughts. Final Fantasy XVI does feel like an action spin-off in a sense. The game lacks a party system, classes and jobs, status effects, debuffs, elemental weaknesses, or any form of strategy if I'm being honest. It trades that for a Devil May Cry-like experience that encourages you to string combos to stagger enemies to deal maximum damage. The combat is a lot of fun. It's flashy, fluid, addicting, and the icon battles, boss fights are absolutely the biggest highlights of the game. It seems like the developers drew a lot of inspiration from games like Bayonetta, God of War, and Asura's Wrath. These icon battles are massive and very cinematic. If you're jumping into Final Fantasy XVI expecting a true role-playing game where you actually have to think, strategize, plan, manage, this game ain't that. The experience points you gain from doing main, side quests, and encounters are used to unlock new moves in your skill tree and mastery of them. You can forge new equipment with higher stats and upgrade them, and equip accessories to boost abilities, but that's where the RPG gameplay elements pretty much end. Parrying, evading, and pulling off counters has replaced any form of strategy. Like, you get no strategic edge by using certain icon powers with certain enemies. There's none of that in this game. This might be the most accessible, newcomer-friendly Final Fantasy game I've ever played. The game is pretty easy. If you have any sort of experience playing action games like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, you're not gonna have a hard time with this game, and unfortunately, the hard mode is locked until you complete the game. Final Fantasy XVI suffers from extremely bad pacing issues. There's a lot of missions in the main quest line and side quests that feel like filler content that's just there to extend the playtime of the game. There's legit main quests where you have to talk to a couple of NPCs and it's over, that's it. And there's main quests where you gotta go fetch a couple of items like some garlic and that's it. I can't help but think if they stripped out all of these shallow moments to meet the criteria of being an RPG and condense this game to a 15 to 20 hour straight up action game, how much better it would be. But overall, even considering the boring moments, I am enjoying the game's story. Clive is probably one of my favorite Final Fantasy protagonists yet. He's relatable, badass, and has some of the coolest abilities. Without getting into spoiler territory, Clive's character development has been great to see unfold. From his path of vengeance to uncovering the truth behind the events that has plunged Valestia into chaos, to him finding a new purpose. It's been an awesome journey to be a part of so far, and the supporting cast of characters ain't too bad. When it comes to visuals, the game is impressive overall, I would say. It does have times where character models and environmental textures look a little funny, but the world of Valestia is beautiful. There's not much to do or explore in Valestia, but it's pretty nonetheless. I've stopped plenty of times to take screenshots of vistas and the different biomes the game has to offer, and the music in the game is really good. It captures the theme and essence of the game extremely well. One of the game's biggest issue that needs to be solved ASAP is the performance. It's not very good. Final Fantasy XVI has two modes, a graphics and performance mode. I believe the graphics mode tries to target a 4K resolution at the cost of frame rate. It locks the game to a stable 30 frames per second, and the performance mode dials down the resolution and targets 60. Since Final Fantasy XVI is an action game, the 30 frames per second mode is a complete bust for me personally. Ain't no way I'm playing this game at 30. I tried it out for like 5 minutes and the motion blur was horrendous. It was literally making me sick. So I've been playing the game in performance mode and This is where we run into another issue. The game has a 60 frames per second target, but it hardly ever hits that target. Final Fantasy 16 suffers from pretty bad frame rate drops in this mode, and what's crazy is when you're in combat, the frame rate is actually pretty damn consistent, and one could give them props. At least where it counts, it's consistent. But outside of combat, be prepared for frame rate drop galore. It's pretty bad. The game definitely needs some patches to improve the experience. In summary, Final Fantasy 16 is a good time when you accept the game for what it actually is. If you're willing to play through some uninspiring quest lines, you will be rewarded with some of the most epic boss fights in gaming. Part of me feels kinda sad that a game like God of War Ragnarok has more RPG mechanics than a Final Fantasy game. But it is what it is. I'm sure a lot of people are actually gonna have a great time with this game because it's extremely accessible. Anyways guys, those are my impressions of Final Fantasy 16. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you playing the game? Do you agree with some of my points? Do you totally disagree with some of my points? Let me know in the comment section below. Peace.